Today we're going to take a look at solving inequalities. This is going to be going all the way back to chapter 3 from early on in the year. We want to review some essential standards stuff to help prepare you guys just as far as going into the summer and getting ready for geometry and things that we just think are very, very important as far as moving on from algebra. That's what we're going to take a look at here these last 2 weeks here. So the first one here, solving inequalities, we've got just like you looked at equations yesterday, right? We want to treat this basically just the same as an equation. However, obviously you have an inequality sign. This one is greater than. Here in a moment, we're going to do one that's got less than or equal to. And just want to go back and review those here real quick today, and some of the properties that go along with that. So here we go. To get started, we want to undo multiplication here because this is really times an x. We don't want to make the mistake of adding 11. So what we want to do is divide by a negative 11 on both sides of this first one. Okay, and that will cancel out the negative 11, and we will bring down the x. Now, anytime we multiply or divide by a negative, our rule for inequalities is that you must flip the sign. So in this case, we've got greater than, that's going to become less than, and 132 divided by negative 11, we are going to get a negative 12. So there we go. That is number one. And just like I've said multiple times on a lot of these notes, if at any point you feel like I'm moving too fast, just pause it so that you can get caught up and add these to your notes to help you with the homework. All right, for the second one, this is going to be a multi-step inequality. We're going to start off, we're trying to get x by itself, so we need to move the 14 over. So we're going to take the inverse operation of minus 14. We're going to add 14 to both sides. When we do that, these are going to cancel out. We're going to get x over 3 less than or equal to 19. Now in this one, we brought down the less than or equal to because we just added to both sides. Adding and subtracting, you don't change sign. It's only when you multiply or divide by a negative you'd have to change signs. All right, so now we need to undo division. So we're going to multiply the top by 3 and this side by 3, which is technically 3 over 1. Just to make sure you're aware of what that is. And then now, because it's a positive, we don't need to change the sign. We keep it less than or equal to 19 times 3. You can use your calculator if you're not sure, but that should be 57. So x is less than or equal to 57 for number 2. All right, so there we go. That's what we've got so far. Like I said, pause it at any point if you feel like I'm going too fast. Check your work. Add these to your notes. So here we go. For number 3, we're going to go variables on both sides and multi-step inequalities. So negative 5 times x plus 7. That one is less than or equal to 9x minus 21. All right. So the first thing we want to do is distributive property. So we've got this mixed in. Something that also is a review from early on in the year. So we distribute this. So you're going to take negative 5 times the x. And then also negative 5 times the 7, less than or equal to 9x minus 21. That part's going to stay the same. So if you want, sometimes students will skip this step, but I just wanted to write it out just to make sure we review. So this is going to be negative 5x minus 35 is less than or equal to 9x minus 21. So there goes that step. Now we need to get the x's on the same side. Some people have different opinions on which one you need to move. Some people always want to move it to the left. Some people always move the smaller one. It's really entirely up to you as long as you follow proper order of operations, and the properties of equality. So here I'm going to add the 5x. So that way I keep things positive. When I do that, I get negative 35 is less than or equal to 14x minus 21. As I combine the 9 and the 5, here are the like terms. We're going to add the 21 to both sides. Okay, when we do that, we're going to get negative 14 is less than or equal to 14x. All right. So if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to pause it. We're going to divide by 14 on both sides. When we do that, we get a negative 1 is less than or equal to x. Now, when this happens, if it is multiple choice, a lot of times they're not going to give you an option like this. So what you want to do is rewrite this answer I'm going to bring it over here. If I move the x over to this side and I move the -1 over to here, this is typically how it's going to be written. However, when we do that, the arrow is pointing to the -1, the arrow should still be pointing to the -1, and it was less than or equal to, now it's greater than or equal to. So there's really two cases where we're going to have to change the inequality signs, where we change the location, like we just did on this one, or when you multiply or divide by a negative. Okay. So there you go. There is the third one on that. All right, we're going to keep on moving here. All right, for number 4, we're going to move on to compound inequalities. So that's where we have two inequalities in one question. This one we got 3x plus 11 is less than or equal to a -31. Or we have 19x is greater than 76. All right, so the key part here is the or. So basically, when this happens, we can have one or the other. We don't have to have them both true on the number line. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 11. Basically, sorry, I should start with this. I'm going to look at this as one inequality, this is another inequality, and then I'm going to write my answer all together and just basically bring down this word or with what I get. So I'm going to subtract the 11 from both sides. On this, the left one, we get 3x is less than or equal to a -42. And then we're going to divide by 3. So for this portion of the answer, we're going to get x is less than or equal to a -14. So far, I have that. So what I need to find is what's going to go over for this part of the answer. So over here, I'm going to divide by 19. When I do that, these 19s cancel out. I'm going to get x. Sign doesn't change because it's positive, and 76 divided by 19. Might think that that's a fraction. Just use your calculator if you're not sure. But I believe it should be a 4. So there we go. So x is going to be below -14, or x is going to be greater than 4. Sorry, below or equal to -14. Okay? So there is a compound or question. Last, we've got compound and, which I believe Mr. O'Neill calls the 3 M's, the minimum, the middle, and the most. I have called them the trifecta because you got 3 different places to move things. So let's go ahead and look at one of these. So -22 less than or equal to 4x minus 10 less than 34. Okay, so here this would be the minimum, the middle, and the most. Like I said, we got 3 spots to look at here. All right, it's all put into one inequality. Now, my thing that I like to show students is that if this were not here, what would I do with just these two? Or if this were not here, what would I do there? Well, if this one's not here, I would add 10 to this side. And same thing, if this one wasn't here and I added 10 there, I would add it over here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add those 10s all at once. And it's the reason I call this the trifecta. We've got 3 different places of 10s. You've also got the minimum, here's the middle, and you've also got the most you have to add that to. So here we get -12 is less than or equal to, these cancel out, we get 4x is less than 44. So that's that part. Now we're going to, so same, excuse me, same thing, we're going to take a look at just this, we would divide by 4 on both sides. Whereas if this one wasn't here, we would do the same over here and divide by 4 right there. So for our final answer here, we end up with a -3 is less than or equal to, these 4's cancel out, so we just get x, which is less than 11. And there you go. Okay, -3 less than or equal to x, which is less than 11. Just real quick on the number line, if we were to graph this, here's -3, here's 11, we would have a closed circle, an open circle, and then shade in between that. Just a quick review on that one. Okay, you won't have the graph on the homework, but you will have some fill in the blanks, some some problems to work out that go along with compound inequalities. If you have questions, let me know in the Canvas messages, and we'll do anything we can to help you out. So, I hope this has been a good review of solving inequalities, as we continue here with our Essential Standards review to wrap up the school year. Thanks, guys.